We are back with another thrilling edition of the Doing All Right podcast presented by our new best good friends over there at Ownwell, Brian Broaddus.
How about that, man?
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us here on the Doing All Right. Brian Broaddus, we do questions on Friday.
We do.
I like to reach out to the people.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you what's happened so far.
Oh.
They've taken the good question thing personally.
Oh, they have.
They send paragraphs now, Brian.
So they're making you read paragraphs to do this.
Voch will skip a paragraph. I'll get the gist. I'll look and find the root words and keywords and all that. You know, I'm gonna skip around your paragraph for the most part. But Brian, once upon a time, it used to be a whole bunch of, boy, what we gonna do with Dak, Brian? It seems like
no more Dak questions.
The education is going up a little bit.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
sure.
And we really got some good stuff. We got about 9 of them, Brian, bro.
Whoa!
Hey, look, we know what to do. We know what to do. Before we get started, though,
the
injury report.
Ooh,
that joint long, Brian.
Yeah,
that joint long. A lot of DNPs is what I'm kind of worried about.
Yeah.
Did you have an update for us, Brian?
Yeah. You know, when you look at the ones you really need to be concerned about is what's happened along that offensive line, and specifically what's going to happen with your left side of your offensive line. You know, with Guyton, he still hasn't cleared the protocol. Driving in this morning, did not get any of that. Didn't feel like that. Listen, hey, there's no news yet. Have to clear. You know, we'll see what happens this afternoon. It might even go into tomorrow, being Saturday, before they figure out if he is available there at left tackle. And then with Tyler Smith, that is going to be now a game time decision. So we will see what happens on the left side of that offensive line. But you know, Smith has been dealing with the tendonitis. When I asked earlier in the week, like, hey, what's up with this? What's up with this? And they say, no, this is something we knew about. This is something we've been dealing with. They say that the rest has helped him in a way, but we will know really Sunday whether he is going to play or going to play for not. Yeah.
So if the left guard can't go, if Big Tyler can't go, what in tarnation do we do, Brian, bro? Just looking at the roster and the guys that are active.
Yeah.
Do you think the Cowboys think higher of Keegan than they do maybe Cornelius to be a guard for him, like
or Adeniji? I mean, you're. I know what you're.
He's a guard guy.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. You worry about when you get to this point in time,
because Rob Jones is hurt, and he was.
Yeah, this is when you get to that point in time where all of a sudden you're starting to have to move guys around and kind of figure things out. Me personally, I think I would put Nate Thomas inside and then go with Adeniji on the outside, but they're comfortable with Nate Thomas playing the left tackle spot. If in
because
fact,
Guyton's hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where this is going to be kind of a mixed match group coming this week if the injuries don't fall right for them.
I got a Nate Thomas question later for your ass, and it's mine too. So I feel real proud of this one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in the fight too, Brian.
Okay.
I'm just looking around at the rest of it. You know, Hooker's out. We kind of had a feeling about that. Miles Sanders, they said that he was like a day-to-day type of thing.
Yeah, that's likely going to be. You're likely going to see Blue get his opportunity to play in the game this week.
What the hell happened to Marshawn Kneeland? He's limited with an ankle. When that happened?
That was a practice thing that they had happen.
Sick of this, man. I'm tired. What's going on with them people, man?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that way. But yeah, there's some guys that have gotten kind of nicked up in games, and then all of a sudden they try and practice, and then those injuries get a little bit more aggravated.
Man, bro, I'm just looking at some of these questions that we have, man.
Sure.
Shouts out to our guy Matt for watching. Matt always sends in questions, but this one of his bangers here. Brian, when Flus went to Indy, he started coaching defense with the Bears for a little bit. He was always a good coordinator. Yeah. He was always good at calling his defenses. And I'll add to this, Flus always was a guy that was able to get more from his guys. If you think about that Colts defense, you know, it was like Shaq Leonard and like Buckner was there, but I couldn't name anybody else on that defense there, Brian. And Flus has always been a guy that has found a way to get pass rush with 4, or he's found a way to lock guys up with his regular cover 3 looks, Brian. Why is it not working here?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that when you look sometimes at personnel and what they're, where I feel like that they've kind of missed the boat is stuff that they were able to do during training camp. And, maybe you had some guys that weren't. Now, the edges were practicing. The defensive tackle group has been a little bit different now in what's going on there. So, that's different dynamic than what you had at training camp. So I'm just kind of wondering if all of a sudden, though, that the things that you weren't able to do during training camp are now starting to carry over. And now you're starting to see that during the season, at least through the first 4 weeks, that, okay, now we've got to kind of figure out some things. But I think really that Flus, you might have some guys here that are comfortable playing a certain type of scheme and then now are having to play a different scheme, but you didn't have the opportunity of seeing that. Mm-hmm. You didn't have the opportunity of working with that. Yeah. And I think that's been a little bit of some issues. There's some things that you and I saw in training camp, pressure-wise, that were pretty good. Yeah. Haven't seen those carry over. Haven't seen those carry over to what's going on. So I think there's a couple of things going on. Like I said, I think some of the pieces that you are relying on haven't shown up, and that's maybe because some of that wasn't happening for you at training camp. And now you're starting to kind of see, well, maybe they're in a little bit of a it's a little bit of a problem because they're kind of doing this on the fly. Yeah. And I think that's unfortunate.
I think the part that's hurting me the most, Brian, is that you look on the offensive side.
Yeah.
And you go, damn, boy, they figured it out with Hoffman and Bass. And boy, Lamb is hurt. Like, Lamb is like the heartbeat of this whole. You got a whole portion of your damn playbook revolving around that guy. You just go, all right, we'll figure out a way to get it to 9. You know what I mean? And then 9 goes out. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just feel like one side of the ball, like, really has got it figured out regardless of what happens with the depth of the injuries. But you look at Flus's side, and look, losing 11 is major. You know what I'm saying? So he's won now, but losing Micah is massive for him.
Right.
But damn, dog, you still got some guys that I feel like we've had faith in at some point. Like Osa's a guy that we got faith in. Kenny Clark is a dog. Your linebackers might be terrible, but Diggs.
See, but that's what the thing is. I think they misevaluated some of their positions and what they had.
Sam Williams, Dante Fowler,
I think they're really asking. They really thought going in, okay, we're going to have Micah. Everything, Micah is going to be the deodorant here that's going to make up for all the stink that might be happening right now. But that's out of the picture, man. That week 1 gone. So now all of a sudden, you mention this all the time, guys having to elevate their game. And they just have not had that. And there's some guys, they really did believe. Matt Eberflus, he's going to believe, in his guys. He's going to believe, the coaches. These guys are going to, that's just the unfortunate thing right now, that they probably really misevaluated the defensive guys that they have currently on this roster.
Tito from Big Dog Sports.
Yeah.
Appreciate you tapping in with us there, Tito. Tito from Big Dog Sports says, I'll word it like this, Brian. What are we expecting from Juanyeh Thomas? We've been talking about him getting shot for like 3 years now. He finally has an opportunity to go out there and do a little something, Brian. You think this is something that's going to change things up a little bit? Is it good that Hooker's off the field? You've been talking about Hooker for some years.
Yeah,
What are we looking at with this Juanyeh Thomas thing this week?
I think the thing with Juanyeh Thomas is what you get a guy that has that. I think he's got the awareness that you need. I think he has the ability to see the field. I think he's comfortable playing in coverage. I think he's comfortable playing down in the box if he has to play. There's been times where he's shown up as a tackler. There's been times where he's shown up as a rusher. I think there's some complete elements to his game. I do like the fact, though, that where I think there's an element of toughness to his game as well. Not to say that Hooker's not, but I just feel like that Thomas kind of does a little bit better job of playing with a little bit more of awareness. But if you have to bring him down, he will be able to handle those things. I think there's times where Hooker, that's a little bit of a problem for him.
Voch says this, not your last name is Broaddus, but what do you think Jones, Schottenheimer, all those cats do? If Juanyeh goes out there and goes crazy, right? Yeah. And I'm just translating going crazy as, boy, he go out there, get some tackles. We don't give up deep passes. He gets a goofy pick and coverage and all this. If Juanyeh looks ridiculous, assuming Schotty and all this little culture that he's talking about, do you go back to Hooker?
You know what? To me, coaches tend to be very comfortable with guys that they have confidence in. But if Thomas shows you that he has that ability to play as that complete player that I'm talking about, where all of a sudden we're seeing him make some plays on the back end. The way that they play the zone coverages, we see him playing with range. We see him playing in the middle of the field, driving on the ball. We see him down in the box helping when that ball's when say this week when Breece Hall spills it to the outside and there needs somebody in the alley to fill, and he's right there. If those are the things you start to see, then as coaches, you owe it to your team to continue on that way. And example too with Blue. Yeah. What if Blue comes in and gives you these elements to the running game that we've kind of been saying, whoa, Miles Sanders has done this for you. Coaches will always go with guys they could trust, but until you prove that you can't, that maybe there's a better option there. I think Thomas, I think Blue, both these guys are in those kinds of sections.
Well, Brian, King Cobb says this, assuming that, let's just say Justin Fields, and I said this being funny, it can happen.
Yeah.
Because it's been happening all year, Brian. If Justin Fields goes out there and whoops you in the air, it turns into one of them games. We thought he was going to be all feet guy.
Yeah.
What if he's throwing the ball around and your defense lays another egg against this offense? If the Packers offense put points up on you, you can kind of live with that. You can live with that. What if the Jets go out there and put up big points on you, Brian? How are we looking at Flus moving forward? Like, how are we looking at Shoddy looking at Flus moving forward?
I think there's, the coaches are always going to begin. Here's the loyalty factor again. Shoddy is going to always publicly say, hey, Flus is my guy. Everything's cool. Remember, Voch, several years ago when Wade Phillips had Brian Stewart as a defensive coordinator?
Yes, sir.
What happened to Brian Stewart? They got partway through the season, all of a sudden Brian Stewart wasn't the defensive coordinator anymore. Now what happens there? Is there somebody on staff? Do they have somebody? No. Brian Schottenheimer is a offensive coach. He's your offensive coordinator. So with all that being said, though, confidence will be out front. We talk about, everything is good with Flus. But behind the scenes, now you start to have to ask the questions. Now you have to say, is everything that we're teaching being taken from the classroom to the field to the playing field? If that's the case, then that's where Brian Schottenheimer needs to make a decision. I don't know if you get halfway through the season and then all of a sudden you scrap your scheme. Maybe it's like you have to do the things I've been talking about. It's the uncomfortable part of football. Hey, we have to figure out how to play more man coverage. Or, hey, we have to figure out how to bring more pressure. They even told us about this. They were talking about manufacturing pressure. They've yet to do that. And I talked to a defensive coordinator in the league the other day about that. He says if you're going to manufacture pressure, you have to blitz. That's how it is. So that's that uncomfortable thing. But Brian Schottenheimer might have to have that uncomfortable conversation with Matt Eberflus if this particular quarterback lights you up.
We just know socials, Brian. And if Flus goes out there and lays another egg, it's going to be fired. But real fast, Brian, we're going to take a quick break and hear about our good friends at Ownwell.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to tell you about my friends there at Ownwell. When I first heard about them at Ownwell, I thought, no way, it's that simple. I mean, they just make things so easy for you to do. I tried it myself. It took about 3 minutes for me to do this, Voch. It's crazy. I'm not one of these guys that's really, I don't have a lot of time, but 3 minutes. But they came in, they signed me up. Their team handled my whole appeal, the process for me. Everything about it was just outstanding. I didn't have to sit around, wait. That's another thing. I don't want to sit around and wait and do these things. And here's the kicker, though. They saved me a lot of money doing this on my property taxes. That's the most important thing. Sure. We all want to save money that way, but and they put those real dollars back in my pocket. So if you're like me and you're a property owner here, have a home here in Texas, you should at least check it out, and just, scan the QR code. We got this QR code up on the screen right now and, see what you'll be saving. That honestly, it was the best thing that I did. So, thank you to my friends here at Ownwell. They do a great job and they will continue to do so.
Shouts out to them, man. As soon as this podcast blows up and I get my home in Texas, I'm calling Ownwell first. You hear me, Brian?
I hear you.
I want to talk about this offense a little bit. You was a big Phil Maffa guy in the offseason, Brian.
Yes, I was.
And Miles Sanders, he has a little injury situation. Some guys just can't get hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Miles Sanders kind of barely got his job right now.
Right.
But he got it. He's here. Assuming Blue goes out there, do his thing, You've only really carried two running backs and Lipke and Schotte's, reasoning for that is that you got to go heavy on defense. I kind of understand that. Is there a world where we see Maffa soon at some point? Have you heard anything about that?
No,
I see a lot of people ask me about Maffa, so I assume something came out about that.
Yeah, I feel like, to me, with Phil Maffa, there's another aspect to this, though. I think they want to see what they have in blue first, and then if in fact it turns into, okay, well, how can we? The one thing that blue can do is he can play special teams for you. So him going in, we'll see. Maffa is a guy that showed in the preseason he could run the ball. What's the special teams aspect? When you get him on that game day active roster, what is he going to do? How many plays is he going to bring for you? And that's where you have to kind of gauge. But there's toughness running the ball. There's that ability. He could catch the football. He actually, Voch showed up that he could blitz pickup.
Sure did.
That was impressive what he was able to do in that way. So I kind of feel like that he's kind of further down the list because they need to see what they have in blue. But if blue comes in here and all of a sudden shows something, maybe the next couple of weeks, then you start to maybe get Sanders out of the mix. Blue becomes part of that, and then you have to make the decision, okay, will Maffa help us just as much as Sanders? That's the next week. But Sanders has done a solid job. Hasn't been great, but the reps that he has, there's been some blitz pickup, there's been some catch, but I think that Phil Maffa is really a down-the-line kind of guy.
That last question was from our guy Gunner. I met him at Draft 101, Brian.
Yeah.
He's a big supporter of what we do here. Brian, Voch says this. Mm-hmm. I think this is the best one, Brian. We all competitive in this thing, Brian. I think I got the best question today. Last week, where my camera? Here we go. Last week, we saw Nate Thomas play left and right tackle, Brian. Mm-hmm. It looked like Nate playing right tackle was a part of the plan. Nate playing left tackle was because Guyton got hurt.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Truth or cap, Brian Broaddus? You think this staff, prior to Guyton getting hurt, was ready to see if they can move on from Terrence Steele, Brian?
Oh no, I think that they clearly we talked to Stephen Jones.
You damn right, that's a good question.
Yeah, no, it is. It's
straight.
a great question, Voch. You always ask great questions.
That's facts.
Yeah, that's always facts.
Go ahead. What do you say?
Which camera? Yeah, with Stephen Jones.
Put us on. What do you say? Stephen Jones said. What about my question?
Stephen Jones likes your question. He absolutely likes your question, and I'll say it this way: he is. There was a time where we were starting to talk about with Guyton and then also then with Steele. And the one thing we've seen with Steele is Steele has done a nice job as a run blocker. Him and Booker have done a great job on that right side. But also there's problems with him as some of the pass protection stuff. And I was thinking, how do you get your five best, most powerful guys out there on the field? And Thomas would be one of those guys. So, but we started to see Brian Schottenheimer is like going, well, I'm really not interested in switching up the offensive line. I'm not interested in moving guys in and out. You're right. What did we see last week? There was a plan, clearly, to get Thomas involved. He just now had to play both sides. But I think you're going to see that even more in the future when everybody comes back in the lineup, and we'll see. It might be a thing, too, where Nate Thomas, say he plays very, very well against the Jets in this game, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, maybe we need to incorporate him more again on that right side, that him and Steele split time. And then we could see a full-on takeover there. But right now, he's positioned himself to be in the mix of one of the five.
Brian, and the reason I ask, because I'm just looking all over social, and people are kind of, I think they're thinking about this idea that both tackles are in trouble, and maybe Thomas will take one of their jobs.
Yeah.
I don't think the organization is looking at Guyton like some blinking light right now. I think they just want to keep seeing him growing and getting better. I think there's a plan for Guyton, Brian. I think they may be they might be sick of Terrence Steele, Brian Broaddus. Like, the run game stuff, yes. So if Nate can be on par to what Terrence Steele is as a run guy, I would imagine that they feel like with Nate, they don't have to worry about somebody just powering him out the way.
The fact that the coach came out initially and said, I'm not interested in moving guys around.
Sure.
This seems to me very much like an influence from the offensive line coaches. I think maybe the offensive line coaches said, listen, hey, Schotty, we need to get Nate Thomas more involved in these games. Yeah. I think this is maybe Schotty looking at it and saying, all right, let's see.
If you want the offensive lineman, they don't really rotate us, Brian. So when I saw the rotation,
they love continuity.
Yeah.
They love continuity on the offensive line, and so I think if we dug into this thing a little deeper, that you would see that the offensive line coaches had a hand in this one going to Schottenheimer.
Derwin from Moss Point, Mississippi.
Oh, you just had to get a Mississippi in there, didn't you?
Well, he has a good question, Brian. He even put, I'm just a country dude from Moss Point, Mississippi. So he's looking for his Mississippi shout out. There you go, player.
After Ole Miss beat my LSU Tigers, I knew you were going to take a shot at me that way through a question. I'm sure it's a great question, though.
Derwin asked a fantastic question.
Oh, I'm all about the fantastic questions.
By those Schoonmaker. He says, is Luke blocking so well that he's keeping Fairweather from being brought up as a
Auburn guy
threat for Dak? Yeah, for sure. So when I think about this, fantastic question too, Daryl. I don't think about Fairweather when I think about Luke being out there. I'm looking for Brevin because at the end of the game, he's getting whooped up on by the Bears or whatever, and Joe Milton's out there throwing the ball. Brevin showed you some yak stuff, and Brevin shows you throughout the game that he's a much better blocker than Luke Schoonmaker. I don't know what Schoon has done. When Brevin kind of got hurt at the end of camp, I don't know what Luke did towards the end of camp that made the Cowboys all of a sudden start to trust him again. I thought in camp Brevin ran away with this thing, and it looks to be that way. And it looked like he's having the better film too, Brian, but Luke is definitely getting the – Brian, Voch says this. Is this another Mozzie second-round pick thing that they're trying to lean on Luke a little bit, Brian?
Why did you pivot so hard on this one,
man? Because look, I don't rehearse, Brian. Stuff pops up in my mind.
You just all of a sudden pivoted
because I'm like, man, Luke Schoonmaker ain't as good as Brevin Spanford. Everything that we saw from Brevin as a blocker, as a target in the red zone, Brevin was better. So I'm like, man, what's going on here? But we could say the same thing about Toia and Mozzie or Perion Winfrey and Mozzie. Are they trying to run some more? The same draft class, by the way. That's the first and the second guy from damn Michigan. You got to be ashamed of yourself for doing that. Brian, am I missing something?
Just alienated all our Michigan listeners.
All right.
Way to go there.
Jordan Lewis, is there some interference being run by Jerry Jones that says we need to get more value from our first and second round pick in that draft, Brian?
You know what? That is a prerogative of the general manager.
Crazy.
And it's and I knew you were going to use the word. I didn't expect the word crazy from you.
Goofy.
Strange.
My word. Goofy's my word.
Goofy's your word. Okay, we'll use it with goofy. But no, I think to me this is where it's coaches tend to look at the players that are here. What's the veteran? You're starting to see with this team that players that were selected in previous drafts by previous administrations are starting to go by the wayside. And it's just a matter of time before you'll see Mozzie not playing anymore. It'll be a matter of time before you'd see Luke Schoonmaker not playing anymore. That's just the way this is going to be. But what you're going to do is sometimes the front office will say, hey, how about playing this guy? How about playing this guy? And then all of a sudden the coaches go, okay, we'll play that guy for you. Then they prove the point that the guy can't play. Mm-hmm. And then when the guy can't play, then it's a little bit easier like, oh, I told you so. Told you that guy can't play. Yeah. So I think we're getting to the point now where we're getting those players that were drafted by – and the front office has remained the same, but the coaching staff that had some influence, Dan Quinn, the influence on Mozzie Smith, and then Luke Schoonmaker, the influence is there. We're starting to see some of these guys not be able to cut it. We've seen guys behind them that are playing at a higher level, and you're going to start to see guys get phased out.
Two more, Brian Broaddus. Be Human.
Be Human
from Twitter says this. We know that GP is going to get his this Sunday, Brian. Ferg is going to get his. You know what I mean? Do you expect more targets from Tolbert or Flournoy this week? Flournoy showed you last week that he can be depended on. You throw the ball to him, he'll catch it. He's earned his reps or whatnot. Tolbert's proven to be a guy that maybe if you don't throw it to him a whole bunch, but maybe you throw it to him here and there, that he'll make some of those catches for you. But target-wise, who is Dak looking for more? Because Turpin's out too. Wide receiver, damn, so Tolbert's wide receiver 2 now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn. Okay, so let's double up like this, Brian. Assuming Mingo's coming back this week, right? Or is he just
he's practicing?
His window was open.
His window is open. He's now on that 21-day window.
So is GP Flournoy Tolbert? Tolbert's probably going to be the slot guy more than likely.
Yeah, I would think so because what's going to happen is though that don't move. You're going to get Sauce Gardner's going to travel in this game.
Sure.
So Sauce is going to travel with Pickens.
Yeah.
Now this is where it becomes a little crazy because how are you going to play in the slot?
Sure.
What's going to happen in the slot? I wouldn't be surprised maybe in this game if you're worried about the slot, you see more 12 personnel in the game. Do you all of a sudden see more Ferguson? Do you see more
Brevin
Spann-Ford? To your point. But maybe you see a little bit more of that. The issue is though that they have a mark out there. Brandon Stevens is a mark. He's a guy. Voch likes to tell you, find the scrub. Find the scrub. Well, that's the guy that you need to go out in this football game. There's been times where Sauce Gardner has had his struggles, hasn't played the level we've seen him in the past, but the guy on film that gets attacked the most and gets attacked consistently and gives up plays is this Brandon Stevens. So to me, you can't. Pickens doesn't move around the whole lot, but how you can help him is through the condensed formations and things like that, the bunches, and let him scatter out of that because he's not a big motion guy. So if you want to maybe get the ball to him, that's how I would do it. I'd also think about though who out of the slot can win, and then who can win on the outside against Stevens. I think either player has the shot. I think that Dak will probably throw the ball more in that situation to Tolbert than he would if they play 11 when they play 11 personnel stuff.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think there's a level of physical play that comes along with flow to where you can kind of get him the ball and let him be a yak guy a little bit.
Right.
And we saw him like they handed the ball to him.
Right.
Also, Brian. So there's probably another element there. Wide receivers need some help, man. But Dak's a guy that elevates these dudes all the time, Brian.
Do you worry? Let me ask you a question. Do you worry about Dak too much, putting too much on his plate? And I say this out of respect. Are we going to ask too much of him in this football game with a compromised offensive line, down receivers? Are we asking him to come and save us every single day? Or is it, and people are just going to say, oh, he's a $60 million player, Brian, he's got to save you. But you're asking too much here.
Two things, Brian, and this could just me being a homer and a Dak fan, but I think that dude is more mentally tough than anybody I've seen play in the game. You know what I mean? Like just some of the things that he's had to do this before. He's had to carry Mike Nolan in them. Like he's done this. He's had the Cowboys as the number one offense like back to back to back before, Brian. Why I think it's not going to be all that much pressure. I don't want to say nothing crazy about Mike McCarthy, man. He don't work here no more, but Schotty's not getting in his way.
Yeah,
Brian, it may look like a lot of pressure to us because we're analysts and we're worried about Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons, all these guys. Oh, Green Bay, that's so scary. I think Dak comfy out there, man.
You think he's comfy?
I think Dak's so comfortable out there, Brian. And maybe it's the reps with terrible offensive linemen he's used to have. He's used to Xavier Su'a-Filo out there, Cam Fleming, Cam Irvin, some of those guys. Chuma Doga don't know the plays and stuff. Brian, he's used to navigating with, so he's hardened to this. This might be the easiest go. Just think about what I'm saying, Brian. From Linehan,
like he's like a load the wagon, just keep pulling guy.
From Linehan, Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy. I think Schotty, I really do believe this. I think Schotty went to Dak and he said, what do you like? What do you want to do? And Dak was like, all right, bet, cool. Yeah. This is what I like.
Yeah.
So when he's out there, he's probably only throwing stuff that he likes. It's not like you're taking Dak and going, all right, we're going to run West Coast now.
Yeah.
You hadn't run West Coast in your life. You was Dan Mullen and them in Mississippi State.
Right.
But you ain't never ran West Coast before. Let's implement West Coast now.
Yeah.
So Dak's having to process and think that and all that. Man, Shotty say, what do you like? I don't think it's much pressure on Dak because I think Dak is running stuff that he likes.
See, man, I just wonder if are they putting pressure on him? Are they asking him? And I like what you're saying about him being comfortable. I really, because he looks like he's playing as a comfortable football player. But man, he is having to carry this football team right now.
Yes,
he is having. If they're going to win this game this week, it's going to be probably him carrying this team.
And if Dak is the kind of dude that I think he is, because I kind of got some of this in me too. Yeah, Schotty definitely got some of it in him too. You could just see him. I want to go out there and win just so I could be like, look what I did with Nate Thomas. And look what I did. Turpin and Lamb gets hurt.
Yeah.
Bet. I got you. Yeah. This dude, these players act like they don't watch TV and they're not on the internet.
Oh, no, they know everything you're saying right now.
All Dak Prescott hears is that's a $60 million quarterback.
Right.
I bet Dak just sitting back counting his money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a $60 million. Hell yeah, I'm the highest paid.
Yeah.
See what I just did with Devontae, Turpin, Pickens, and Tolbert? If I believe Dak is the dude that I think he is, I think Dak loves this. Yeah. He loves this Brian Broaddus.
They're asking a lot of him, man, especially with all these injuries, though. Yeah. I don't know if it's fair all the time.
It ain't fair. No, it ain't fair.
Yeah.
No, it's not fair.
No, it's not fair.
But that's the game.
Oh, no.
That's the game. It is what, and that's his job.
Yeah.
And I think he does. Did you see him at the podium last week? He said, man, that was a sack. Damn, I hate it. It's all good. It's like a part. Hey, no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That comfy up there, man. But Dak loves this stuff.
Yeah.
And we love y'all loving on us. We appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody coming in, asking questions. Smalls HD, fantastic question. Oh, wait. Time out. Stop. Go back to my camera. Go back to my camera. One more. Brian, Smalls HD got the question of the day.
Okay.
I got so caught up in what me and you was doing. Smalls HD got the question of the day, Brian. Don't wrap this show just yet. Don't hit that button. Brian, Smalls Talks Ball on Twitter says.
Smalls Talks Ball. I like this.
We talk about complimentary football all the time, Brian.
Yeah.
Know what he say? If we set aside how bad the defense actually is, I think this is fantastic. If we set aside how bad the defense actually is, in Voch and Brian's opinion, does this style marry well with Schotty's style of offense? I know, Brian. I know. If this defense wasn't so terrible, if it was just cool, if the talent was just cool,
if it was say a top 15,
if it was at 15.
Yeah.
Does this style even marry well with what Schotty's trying to do? I'll answer so you can get off that. The answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
Schotty's offense is explosive.
Yeah.
And whoop ass.
Yeah.
Schotty is bend but don't break. Hopefully something crazy happens in the middle
Eberflus.
of it. Eberflus.
Yeah.
Eberflus is bend but don't break. I hope something crazy happens, and by the time we get to the end zone, maybe you give up 3. That's Dak sitting on the sideline for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I want now Quinn's defense.
Yeah.
We get sacks and turnovers.
Right.
We may give up a big play.
Yeah.
But we get sacks and turnovers.
Yeah.
So that way the offense get more at bats. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think Flus's bend but don't break style, that slow style, keeping Dak on the sideline. Brian, if you think about the first quarter of the Giants game, Dak gets one drive the whole quarter.
The whole quarter.
Yeah. So if you go 3 and out there, Dak doesn't get the ball.
9 minutes later, you get the ball. Yeah.
Same thing with the damn Packers, and this could be just how bad they are. Yeah. But Dak having to work back from it's the second quarter. I haven't had the ball much, and they got 15 points on the board. I don't think this defense or the style of defense fits it at all. You always tell a good story about how Parcells looked at Zimmer and said, look, run this now, but next year
you're running
we're doing this.
Right.
I would love if Schotty or just fire Flus. I would love it if Schotty looked at Flus and said, hey man, this don't even fit what we trying to do over here. What you think, Brian?
No, I think you completely hit the nail on the head. Anything not to have this offense on the field as much as you can is a bad thing. So that marriage is really, really poor. And you wonder though. You wonder as a first-year head coach, and here's again the front office's influence. They've had Matt Eberflus before under the Rod Marinelli system. They've talked about Flus can do this, Flus can do that. When you start to hire your staff, you're looking at guys. Well, who are the guys? Are some of the respected guys? I think if Brian Schottenheimer had to do it all over again, I think he would go get a guy like you're talking about, like a Dan Quinn guy. But Dan Quinn has had to adjust too.
Sure.
Dan Quinn had to go from the Legion of Boom to okay, now I'm going to blitz you. Yeah. Now I'm going to attack you with 4. Now I'm going to get turnovers. Now I'm going to play a lot of man coverage. He switched up how he did. I don't know if Flus can do that. I'll tell you this, though. Flus went from the wheels-off, Rob Ryan, crazy-ass, maybe 10 guys on the field defense, where, we blew coverage, but we're blitzing and we're trying to create. He went from wheels-off defense to being Rod Marinelli, Monty Kiffin, button it up, play too deep, don't give up any big plays. I'd kind of like to see him meet somewhere in the middle of that. Go back a little bit more, especially with this offense. Your personnel does not fit right now what you're trying to do. So maybe you adjust a little bit here. Your players surely are asking for you to adjust a little bit, but also there'll be people that all will say, well, listen, you put Diggs in man coverage. the quarterback rating against him explodes man coverage wise. He wants to play more man coverage because it doesn't take anything to learn a defense playing man coverage. You're just locked up on that guy and you're running with them. When you're playing zone coverage, you got to know where you need to drop, you got to see reads, and you got to know what the guy next to you is doing. It's a little bit more difficult to play zone coverage because you have to be able to know what's going on around you. So you have to study. When you play man coverage, you're just an athlete. You line up, you play, and you go. But he might need to think about doing some things different. But you're absolutely right. This current defensive scheme does not marry well to how he's playing offensive football.
We appreciate you guys being married to Crown Global Media. You know what I'm saying? We're going to come right back next week on the same program. You like that one, didn't you, Brian?
I like that one a lot.
Good. We're going to come back next week.
Brought some passion with that one, huh?
I get upset. I thought about that question all last night.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, this thing don't fit for real.
It doesn't.
It don't fit for real.
No.
Brian, I see that lovely logo you got on your vest there. It's coming real soon. Y'all just please be tapped in. We're going to put logos on all different type of garments and clothing, and we're going to throw it on the website and get a website to y'all. Look out for it next week, more than likely, Brian Broaddus. Just stay tapped in for that. And please be sure to follow Crown Global on all the socials. Follow BRYN Broaddus. I'm VOCHLONBARDI. We're going to beat the hell out of Jets and come back Monday and talk about it again. All right? Crown.